Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are tackling something that is notoriously confusing and, let's be real, incredibly frustrating. We are talking about gas fees. If you've spent any time at all in the crypto space, you've definitely run into them, and you've probably felt the sting of those completely unpredictable transaction costs. But stick with me, because by the end of this explainer, you're going to have a rock-solid understanding of what they actually are, why they absolutely have to exist, and, most importantly, how you can minimize them. Let's get right into it. So, we've all been there, right? Picture this. You're just trying to send, say, $50 worth of crypto to a friend. You hit send and bam. You're staring at a pop-up telling you the network fee is a massive $20. That's literally almost half of the amount you're trying to send. It feels totally broken, it's wildly unpredictable, and honestly, it's completely natural to feel super frustrated when you're just trying to use what's supposed to be the future of finance. And that painful little experience naturally leads to the one big question every single beginner asks. What exactly am I paying for? I mean, why do we have to shell out extra cash just to move our own money around? What is actually happening behind the scenes that justifies hitting us with this extra cost? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. Here is our quick roadmap for the explainer. First, what are gas fees? Second, why do they exist? Then we'll look at the actual formula, figure out why prices constantly change, and wrap up with some smart, actionable ways to save. Okay, part one, what are gas fees? To really get this, we kind of need to shift how we think about blockchains, because they aren't just digital ledgers holding money, they are actually massive global computers. And gas fees? They're simply the payments made to those networks for processing transactions and running computations. Look, just like your laptop absolutely needs electricity to process data, a blockchain needs energy to function. So gas is literally the computational fuel required to execute any action on these decentralized supercomputers. It really helps to think of the blockchain network like a massive highway system. The cars driving on the road, those are the transactions moving around. Now, the highway doesn't just magically maintain itself, right? It requires constant upkeep, traffic control, infrastructure, the whole shebang. Gas fees are basically the highway tolls and the fuel that pay for all that network operation. Without those tolls, the entire highway would just completely fall apart. So the really crucial takeaway here is that almost every single action you take requires this fuel. It's not just about sending crypto from wallet A to wallet B. You're triggering gas fees when you swap tokens on a decentralized exchange, when you deposit funds into a DeFi protocol, when you mint a brand new NFT, or honestly, any time you interact with a smart contract. Every single one of these actions tells the global computer to go do some work, and therefore, every single one requires a bit of gas. Moving on to part two, why gas fees exist. You know, a totally logical question to ask right about now is, why not just make transactions free? Well, here is exactly why a free blockchain simply wouldn't work. If the blockchain highway was completely free to use, malicious hackers and bots could endlessly spam the system with millions of fake, useless transactions. The network would instantly get overloaded, and real users like us would face massive, crippling delays. So paid gas acts as a built-in, vital security filter. By forcing a tangible cost onto every single action, it makes spamming the network incredibly expensive and basically totally impractical. Plus, we have to remember who is actually keeping this decentralized highway running. Spoiler alert, it's not a central bank or some massive tech corporation. It is a decentralized network of everyday people and machines, called validators in proof-of-stake systems and miners in older proof-of-work systems. These fees aren't just random penalties designed to drain your wallet. They are the essential rewards paid directly to these validators for confirming your transactions and securing the whole network. It's literally their paycheck for keeping the system alive and kicking. All right, part three, the gas fee formula. Now that we know what they are and why we absolutely need them, let's look at how they're actually calculated. Because these fees aren't just pulled out of thin air. There's a very specific, logical math behind them. The formula is gas fee equals gas used multiplied by gas price. That fundamental equation is exactly what dictates what comes out of your wallet every single time you hit confirm. Let's break those mechanics down a bit further. Gas used is the fixed amount of work a specific action requires. You can think of this as the absolute number of computational steps the network has to take. Gas price, on the other hand, is the fluctuating cost of that specific work, basically how much you are willing to pay per unit of gas. You multiply the fixed work required by the fluctuating cost per unit, and boom, you get your final gas fee. Think of it like ordering food at a restaurant. A low gas action, like a simple wallet-to-wallet crypto transfer, is basically like ordering a basic side salad. It's super easy for the kitchen, it uses very little energy, so the gas used is nice and low. But high gas actions, things like complex DeFi yield farming or minting an NFT, that is like ordering a massive, intricate 5-course meal. It requires heavy computation, a ton of network resources, and just way more work from the kitchen. And the reason for this big difference almost always comes down to smart contracts. These are basically mini programs that run on the blockchain to execute logic, run calculations, and move tokens around. And the golden rule you need to remember here is more code equals more gas. Because smart contracts have much more complex logic, they inherently require a lot more computational steps from the network. And that significantly drives up that gas used metric we were just talking about.
Okay, part 4, why prices change constantly.
This right here addresses the absolute most frustrating part of crypto for beginners. I mean, why does the exact same transaction cost 50 cents on a Tuesday morning, but suddenly $15 on a Friday night? Well, the root cause is that blockchains only have a limited amount of space inside each block. It's a completely open market. First, demand increases for that limited block space. Second, because the space is fixed, users have to compete with each other to get their transactions processed first by offering higher bids. And third, this bidding war inevitably forces the overall gas fees to rise. Honestly, it's exactly like trying to get a taxi in the pouring rain. There are limited taxis, and suddenly everyone wants one. The people who are willing to tip the driver the most, they're the ones who get picked up first.
So what actually causes everyone to need a taxi at the exact same time? Real-world events. Fee spikes are almost always triggered by massive surges in network congestion. When a highly anticipated token launches, when a super popular NFT collection drops, when a lucrative new yield farming event goes live, or even just during peak global usage hours, users absolutely flood the network. This massive demand completely overwhelms the limited supply of block space, and it forces everyone into these crazy expensive bidding wars just to get their transactions through.
Finally, part 5, smart ways to save.
All right, now that we understand the mechanics and the theory behind all this, let's look at some highly practical strategies to keep your money where it belongs, in your own wallet. Let's bring back our traffic analogy for a second. Just like driving on the highway, timing is literally everything. Peak hours are exactly like rush hour traffic. Everyone is trying to use the network at the same time, so it's super slow and the tolls are incredibly expensive. But if you simply time your non-urgent transactions for off-peak hours, say late at night or early on a Sunday morning when global activity is much lower, you're going to find an empty highway with drastically cheaper tolls. So here's a rapid-fire list of highly actionable strategies you can use to maneuver around those high fees. Number 1, choose those low congestion times we just talked about. Number 2, use Layer 2 networks whenever you possibly can. Number 3, actively avoid transacting during peak hype events or major NFT drops. Number 4, if the platform you're using allows it, batch multiple actions into one single transaction. And number 5, definitely learn how to adjust your wallet's gas settings. A lot of wallets actually let you choose between slow, standard, or fast execution. If you aren't in a massive rush, just pick slow and save your money.
I do want to take a quick second to highlight Layer 2 networks because honestly, this is one of the single most effective strategies out there right now. Instead of using the highly congested main highway, Layer 2 networks act as dedicated express lanes. They process transactions completely off the main chain, bundle them all up together, and then send them back as one package. This dramatically reduces the heavy load on the main network, which delivers much lower fees and incredibly fast speeds for everyday users like us. And that brings us to our final takeaway. Gas fees are not just costs. They are the foundation of blockchain operation. Now, while it is entirely valid to find them super annoying sometimes, keeping this quote in mind kind of changes everything. They are the exact mechanism that prevents network spam, rewards the hardworking people keeping the network secure, and ultimately makes a decentralized, fair financial system possible without needing a central bank in charge. So the next time you see a gas fee pop up, you'll know exactly what you're paying for. And more importantly, how to outsmart the rush hour traffic. But it does leave us with a pretty fascinating question to think about. As these global networks continue to grow to accommodate billions of users, will those Layer 2 express lanes be enough? Or will the whole concept of gas fees eventually become a thing of the past? Thanks for joining me on this explainer.